All right. So on to my second one. So my second one is not really like ghost story. It's just like a tradition, kind of a supernatural type tradition that happens in, again, Guatemala. So I'm probably gonna murder the Spanish, and then I'm gonna get made fun of later. So it's La Quema del Diablo, which translates to burning the devil. Every December 7th at 6 p.m. sharp, like 6 p.m. on the dot, Guatemalans burn a devil piñata using branches, newspaper, firecrackers, garbage, basically whatever they can find. Sergio said when he was a kid, he and his grandma and his aunt that raised him would save up their newspapers for the entire year just for this so that they could build a giant bonfire.
Wow. What?
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
So, yes. So the tradition has special significance in Guatemala City, which is where Sergio was raised, because it's associated with the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, which honors the city's patron saint. So it began in the Santo Domingo Monastery in Antigua, where they started an annual tradition to burn a fire of the devil, but it's supposed to be burn a piñata of the devil. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say there. And light firecrackers on the day of the Rosary in late October. So around, I'm going to say like the early 1900s, local priests began to put more emphasis on the Immaculate Conception and the Virgin Mary's triumph over evil. So the tradition was moved to early December to coincide with the feast. So many people in Guatemala believe that the devil is in their home at all times, trying to tempt them, right?
Wow.
He lurks behind their furniture, under the bed, in the closet, basically just hiding and watching you and waiting for any opportunity to jump out and tempt you. Sergio has told me many stories of he was tormented by a spirit when he was younger for years, and his grandma saw it and his aunt saw it and he saw it. And finally he had to go to a witch in Guatemala and have it like exorcised almost. And he says sometimes he can still see it out of the corner of his eye, like looking out from his closet. So that's what this would be.
That's
scary. He had a nightmare. I think I told you guys. He had a nightmare that it was standing over Damian's crib. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of the same thing. They believe that the devil is lurking in their home at all times. So they do this to cleanse their home of the devil. That's why they bring things out from their home, like newspaper, garbage, whatever you can find, basically, that you want to burn. There are an estimated 500,000 bonfires lit in Guatemala City alone. It's a very special day that marks the beginning of the Christmas season down there, actually. Families come together to light the fires, eat, I'm going to butcher this word again, buñuelos, which are these like traditional donuts, and drink fruit punch. They also drink a shit ton of alcohol. I was reading one article where there was this guy who went up to the devil piñata and he was like screaming in his face, drunk as hell, and like everyone was just kind of standing around, and finally like the volunteer firefighters went and got him and like escorted him away. But that's the thing is, I mean, like they believe that they're speaking to the devil, and so yeah, they're pissed off.
Yeah.
Like why wouldn't they hate this person? So hung in front of the main piñata in every city is a statement from the devil reading, "I dreamt last night that everything was beautiful, that there was a Guatemala without violence, without kidnappings, corruption, gangs, dictators, extortionists, poverty, and drug addicts. But when I awoke, I realized that everything was a sad, cruel reality, and that is why I live in hell."
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So one of the reason that they have this big celebration is to burn the regrets and the sins of the previous year and begin again, with the hope that maybe this year they will live in that Guatemala. And that's basically it. I mean, right now, I will say the one other thing I found that Sergio told me about, and then I also found it in National Geographic, is that the environmentalists in Guatemala are having a lot of problems. They're really getting into a lot of arguments with people about this tradition. They want people to continue it, but they want them to stop burning their garbage because the majority of your garbage now is like plastic based.
Yeah.
And it's like horrific for the environment to be out there burning all of this plastic. So they're running into some issues with that. But, you know, even the environmentalists are like, well, we don't want to like stop the tradition. We just want people to burn, like, go back to burning newspaper or wood or something. So yeah, so it's kind of a sad tradition. I mean, to burn this every year in the hopes that next year your country will be better. You know, and their Christmas season runs through the 7th, which is this, and then the 8th is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, and then that runs through December 24th, which is their Christmas. And then our Christmas, the 25th, for them is just the day after Christmas. So they celebrate Christmas on the 24th at midnight. But yeah, it's a fun, he said it's really fun. Like, it's like a big party, and like I said, I mean, everyone's family comes together. I mean, you throw a big party at your house, you all get together, you burn your piñata, you see all your neighbors burning their piñatas. It's like a big block party.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, but then it has kind of that sad tinge to it, you know, that, I mean, their country's so fucked up, and I think we all know whose fault it is that their country is really fucked up. Yeah. Yeah, and then again, they have such an emphasis on the Virgin Mary down there. So, of course, the Immaculate Conception is extremely important to them. So, I think it's interesting that they moved it to more align with that because the priests and local religion was moving towards that emphasis. And for people who don't know what the Immaculate Conception is, the Immaculate Conception is not Jesus being conceived by a virgin. The Immaculate Conception is Mary being born without sin. And a lot of people think that it's Mary being a virgin and getting pregnant anyway. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to say that for people who aren't familiar, because she is the only human being born without sin, and that is why she's chosen to give birth to Jesus, basically. So, yep.
I'd be into doing something like that.
Yeah,
I would love to go down there for that.
Yeah. I wish I mean, it's a lot better than a New Year's resolution, right? I mean, you're doing something physical. It feels like you're doing something physical, like some physical ritual to...
Exactly. And an emotional ritual. I mean, to go out there and just be like, you know what? I am burning all of my regrets from last year. Last year is over. There is nothing I can do about it now. It is time to start afresh. You know, I could see where that would be really, like, cleansing and really make you feel better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to be down there. Well, someday I'd like to go to Guatemala, so we'd like to get married in Guatemala, actually. That's kind of our plan right now. Yeah. Destination wedding! Yeah, that's kind of our plan right now, so, you know, but I would just love to go visit sometime soon. I think it would be great. So anyway, yep, that's my last one.
Yay, cool.
Yay.
Good pick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Miranda?
Okay. So this one's really short, but the other one I picked from Japan was the Zashiki Warashi, and they are spirits that live in parlors and, like, storehouses. They basically, like, they just look like kids, and they play pranks on the people there, and those who see them are said to be visited by good fortune. So they're basically protective spirits that reside over families. And a family who has a Zashiki Warashi prospers, but if that spirit disappears, then their luck will decline significantly. So one story was, like, at 9 o'clock in the Iwati prefecture. They're said to slip into the cracks in the door and play around the desks and chairs, but only the children in the classrooms can see them. And then there's this other kind of more well-known story about the storehouse. At this storehouse, the Zashiki Warashi were said to live at one in Tokyo, and it was about 100 years ago. And it was believed that their presence was caused... Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry. Oh, it was believed their presence caused anyone to enter the storehouse to flee running and then also have to urinate instantly. Yeah. Yep. But they play pranks, right? Like that. Right. Yeah, that would be a prank. And then there may also be the sound of something striking a metal pole there at night as well. So one year, a child was seen carrying furniture out of a house after a fire that was right by the storehouse. No one had ever seen the child before, but they appeared to be assisting them in moving their furniture to the cellar because they were moving everything down there to keep it all safe after the fire. Everybody tried to get a good look at the child, but they couldn't. And then once everything was in the cellar and the door was shut and sealed, the child was never seen again. There wasn't really anything special about the storehouse, but apparently there was a small box that they used to store charcoal in, and it was they kept it up on a high shelf and no one ever touched it. So they believe that's where the Zashiki Warashi lived. And then that storehouse eventually burned down, and the spirit was never seen again. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have on those ones. There isn't like a ton of information out there on them. There aren't specific stories. It's just like, I don't know, just these type of spirits that people see around all the time. And your family, like families who prosper they just have one. Like they just have one that lives in their house and they get used to it and it plays pranks on them, but like you want a Zashiki Warashi in your home because you know that your family's going to prosper. But then if out of nowhere it disappears, like your family is basically just going to like fall on hard luck right away.
Interesting.
I don't think we have any lucky spirits in the United States.
Like the most I can think of would be like a leprechaun.
That's what I was thinking you're going to say.
Yeah, but that's obviously not the United States, but I'm trying to think of another, like, spirit that if you have it around your house, you're considered lucky. I guess, like, a leprechaun is the only thing I can think of.
They're all over Europe and all over everywhere else, but not...
Not here.
Not here.
Well, you know, the people that founded this nation, the white people that founded this nation, I should say, were not the most, like, fun people, so it sort of makes sense.
I was about to say, like, we're Americans, we don't believe in luck. We believe in hard work.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Puritans were not, like, fun, mischievous people, so, and, you know, so I can see where a lot of our spirits would come from that. Yeah. You know, a lot of our urban legends and haunting legends would come from that, is this idea that you're being punished.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
Or someone's gonna mess with your things, you know?
Right.
Yeah. That's very American.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's almost like a nice poltergeist. They're, like, playing pranks, and I assume, like moving things around.
They're just, like, little ghost kids that mess with your stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, mess around with you, but then they also bring you really good luck and good fortune.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cute. I like that. Because so many ghost stories you hear from Japan are, like, scary. And, oh my god. So it's cool that there's one that's, like, a happy.
Whimsical. Little.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's...
Yeah, just kind of like a fun thing.
It's funny because, like, that, like shorter snippet of, like, the school where they're normally seen, like, playing around the desks and stuff like that. I have this really, like, faint memory of some kind of movie, like, it's like I think it's a Japanese movie or something like that, where you have these spirits that are, like, messing around in the classrooms, but only the kids can see them, and I don't even know where it's from. I have no idea, but I swear there's something out there that has that, I don't know, that has that story in it, and I really want to find out what it is now.
I don't know. The only thing I can think of that involves, like, young Japanese school children, not, like, teenagers, is the Parton Cabin in the Woods, where they're being
oh my god,
tormented by the ghost.
That's
and
funny.
Then they all, like, form a circle and they're singing, and they've, like, trapped it. All these little girls are holding hands, and they've trapped it by singing. That's the only thing I could think of when you were telling that.
That's so
when you
funny.
said that they were in the school. I was like, oh my god, like Cabin in the Woods.
I wonder if they were, like, partially, I don't know, they, like, kind of got that idea from this, except...
It's possible.
These spirits are good spirits.
It's possible.
You want them.
That's
in your
so
house.
funny. Oh my god, that's so funny. I love that movie so much.
It's so good.
Yeah. I saw it in the theater, and my friend Sharon and we were like the only people laughing.
How?
Really?
Like, there were not that many people in there, but no one else was laughing, and we were like screaming. We were laughing so hard. I mean, they probably thought we were high, and we really weren't. I don't think we'd even had anything to drink.
That's hilarious.
I think we went like directly from work to see it, and yeah, we were like howling. We were laughing so hard.
So good. The guy, I don't remember his name, but the guy that's like high all the time. He's like my favorite character in the world. He's so great.
Yeah, I love him.
He's so fun.
And I just love, like, at the end, how Sigourney Weaver just, like, pops up.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my god!
Yes.
Oh, anyway, enough about that movie. We're way off topic. But so good.
Yeah.
We'll do an episode with that someday.
We do. But yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
Oh, it's the best.
I love it.
Oh,
I own
so
it. I just
funny.
haven't watched it in a long
I've
time.
seen it so many
Funny. I actually got it for my dad for Christmas this year. For one of his Christmas gifts, because he wanted to own it. So, Nikki, teach us one final thing.
I just realized this is like 2 pages long. I'm just gonna read as fast as I can through it, okay?
Just
Ready?
take your time. It's fine.
Okay. It's not even a ghost story. It's a haunted object. I don't even know. Anyway.
That's fine. That counts.
Okay. So, the Capuchin catacombs are in Palermo, Sicily. And they're closed, but they open at 9 a.m. on Thursday, according to Google. When I was doing my research, I was like, what?
Well, there you go.
Okay, anyway. So they house the corpses of quite a wide variety of people. The oldest corpse is a friar who died the year that Beatrice Cenci was executed in 1599, tying it together. The catacombs, according to Atlas Obscura, our favorite little thing, website, book, YouTube channel, whatever it is.
Love it.
Contain rooms for religious figures, doctors, women, virgins, and infants. They, like, separate them all out. So, like, if you're a doctor, you go in this room. If you're a woman, you go in this room. If you're an infant. So, people kind of... There's an article that was saying, like, how people are kind of holding on to their class in burial here. Like, they would choose what clothes they wanted to be buried in and, like, how often they wanted them changed and stuff. And the monks were like, cool, that's fine. We'll do it for you. And then just pay us. And it was like ongoing payment to keep a body down there. So many of the bodies in these catacombs were naturally mummified due to the dry air. But the priests kind of let them drip dry for a year while they like desiccated. And then they rinsed them with vinegar and then redressed them.
Oh my god, I can't imagine the smell.
Gross.
A rotting body covered in vinegar?
Well, after a year, though. So all the bodily fluids and the organs and everything, it kind of had dry... the reason that mummification was so possible in these catacombs is because of the climate. So it's dry. It would be... I'm not saying it wouldn't be gross, but it would be less gross than a tropical... humid, wet. Anyway,
right.
so
like,
perfect conditions for that. And many, did I say? Many of the corpses are propped up, like standing up, and they look like they're just kind of hanging out. They're a little whimsical, and they're all dressed in like their outfits, like, so like their sailor outfits and their monk outfits and all that stuff, and it's really interesting. I've never seen anything quite like it.
Is that considered death positive?
What? I don't
They're
know.
standing up and wearing outfits? I don't know.
I don't fucking know what that's considered. I guess you could consider the monks dealing with... I don't know. That's complicated. That's a complicated question.
Oh
I think
God.
it was very smart of the monks to be charging money and making money off of funerary preparations.
I agree.
And it was like renting,
Good for
because if
them.
you didn't keep giving them money, then they would like set the body aside and they wouldn't keep like... Anyway, I never thought this would be funny. Anyway, so one of the most famous bodies in the catacombs didn't arrive there until 1920. Rosalia Lombardo was supposedly the daughter of a nobleman, which is like another running theme apparently with these Italian stories, who died at just 2 years old of pneumonia. But Rosalia's father was a bit more loving than Beatrice's. He pleaded with chemist, taxidermist, and embalmer Alfredo Salafia, sorry, Grandma, to make her body live forever. And he kind of did. But no one knew how he had preserved her for about 90 years afterward, when a biological anthropologist found the formula he'd used through his living ancestors. In case you want to do it, it was 1 part glycerin, 1 part salicylic acid, and 1 part alcohol. But the thing that really preserved Rosalia, besides the conditions in the catacombs, was the zinc salts, which essentially turned her body into wax. I would actually recommend looking up this picture, because she looks almost as if she's just fallen asleep. And it's been 100 years. She's in this glass coffin. And this earned her the nickname Sleeping Beauty. She is very well cared for, with a silk blanket covering her, as well as an icon of the Virgin Mary, a yellow dress, and a large yellow bow sitting atop her still beautiful blonde curls. She looks... It's unimaginable how she looks, just as if she just went to sleep. It's crazy. The legend surrounding Rosalia is that once a day, she opens her blue eyes and closes them again. You can...
No thanks. I'm gonna have to pass on that one.
You can actually see time-lapse footage of this. It's not really time-lapse footage, it's photos taken over a 2-hour period.
Nope.
It's quite convincing, but still easily disproven. Basically, it's an optical illusion. Her eyes are already slightly ajar, so from certain angles, she looks like her eyes are more open than they are. But this doesn't stop her from having a lasting effect on people who believe she is haunted. Now, I wasn't able to find a description of a theory behind this, but I have so many questions. Is Rosalia meant to be possessed? Or is she a remnant of her supposed to be trapped, like, inside her body? And no one will really specify. And I'm interested in why this legend persists and why it still bothers people. I actually didn't think I was bothered by this, and I had a dream after I was researching this about her. And the man who had eventually found that her eyes opening and closing was an optical illusion, in this dream was running tests on Rosalia. And he did so... He did this in real life, but in this dream, Rosalia was actually up and walking around, kind of alive, but she wasn't right. Like, she was sitting across this table from the researcher, and they were passing back and forth this small white stick. I don't even know what it was, but it was like he was testing her motor skills or something. And her movements were hard to describe, but they were very unnatural, and her eyes were not at all, like, inquisitive like a normal 2-year-old's. She was there, but she wasn't there. And it was impossible to tell if she was in limbo or if something else was inhabiting her body. So obviously this legend has some sort of weight, because in my subconscious, like, I woke up the next day and was bothered all day by this dream that I had. So when I got to thinking about it, my theory for why this haunted me so much is because I am used to a dead body looking dead. There's some sort of weird, like, cognitive dissonance going on when I look at Rosalia's picture. I don't know if, Miranda, you looked it up. I thought I saw you looking it up.
Like, I mean, based on Miranda's facial expression, I figured she was looking it up.
It's, like, really uncomfortable to look at. I don't know. I looked at it and I was like, oh, gross.
I'm gonna regret it.
No.
So when I look at her, I know she's dead, and I feel mostly that she's dead. But my brain is convinced that she is going to sit up.
Yeah.
So maybe...
Oh, no!
Maybe it's the uncanny valley
I'm regretting
experience.
that.
I mean, I don't know. People have when, like, they look at dolls, kind of. But I have a fear of embalming because I feel like it's super unnatural and it makes a person look unnatural. And that's another Catholic thing. Like, cremation was just not done not so long ago. And still in our family, you get embalmed, you don't get cremated on my dad's side of the family. And I have sat through many and awkward, disturbing, and kind of traumatizing funeral where we
Oh my God, did they make you go kiss the body?
No. Well, we stand there and we pretend our relative or friend is there in the coffin when it could not be more obvious that they're not. And someone inevitably says, "Doesn't she look so good?" And then you have to agree, even if you know the decedent never would have chosen that shade of lipstick. Or that you've never seen them looking so waxen in your life.
Yeah.
So for me, it just impedes the process of grieving.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it depends on the person, because there are a lot of people who I think having that final moment to see their loved one, even though they're not really there, is what they need to help them start to move on. Mm-hmm. Right? They need that final moment to see them and say goodbye.
This is a choice. The embalming's a choice. I'm not the funeral police. And I think spending meaningful time with a dead body is exactly what people need to do. And I think we're taken away from that in America, in the West.
Well, it depends.
But embalming kind of lends to that, because family is not involved at all in the preparation. They get to awkwardly walk up to the coffin, pat the hand, and then go on. They don't get to spend time with the body as a dead body. They see a wax figure that's not really fooling anyone.
And I would say, again, that some of that depends. I mean, a lot of funeral homes will let the immediate family spend time with their loved one prior to the funeral.
Yeah, and you can.
And if you are in my family, and in many, 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 many Catholic families, you are expected to go up and kiss the body.
So to kiss the body. No, we never... I saw that happen a lot, but I was never...
That's an extremely Catholic thing.
I was never encouraged to do it, thank God.
Oh, no, we were forced to go kiss the body. Like, that was what was expected of you, which was horrifying.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I don't think people should be forced to spend time with the body if they don't want to, either.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, some of it is a religious thing, but my parents never made us go do it.
Good.
But we would always have to go look, which it never bothered me. Seeing dead bodies at funerals, it never bothered me. I remember when his father passed away, and a bunch of us went to the visitation, and was so upset that we had to keep shifting and like rotating our circle so that she could not see the body.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because she didn't want to see it. And I was like, I don't care. So I will stand opposite from the body and be the one facing it the whole time. Because it looks like a wax dummy to me.
It does.
It doesn't.
So here's my thing. Like, the last couple funerals I've gone to, it's always been like, I don't mind, like, I kind of want to say that last goodbye, and I think it's going to be fine, but then I walk up and it doesn't even look like my loved one, and it freaks me the fuck out. It almost pisses me off a little bit, because I am like, that is not my family member. I don't know what you did. Like, I will never... I went to my grandpa's funeral in February, and then a few years ago, I went to my cousin Christopher's funeral. I will never forget the way they looked in the casket, because that was not what they looked like in real life, and it almost pisses me off a little bit. I would rather, like Nikki, like you said, I'd rather they just not embalm them. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, some of it is embalming, but then you see dead bodies like at crime scenes even before they're embalmed, and they don't look
they look like a corpse. They don't look like a person, but actually that's the point.
Right.
That's the natural thing. Like, when you spend time with the corpse and you've seen someone who has died, and you get to spend that meaningful time without people fucking with it, you are able to register they are not there any longer.
Yeah.
And there hasn't, like, you've seen the change happen, and you've seen it, they haven't gone away from you and then come back looking completely just foreign. They're dead.
Yeah, but see, then I also see how that could be more comforting for some people, is it's almost this level of a tiny bit of disconnect.
Oh yeah, some people
we're seeing their loved one immediately after they've died, still looking like themselves, but like clearly not there anymore. I could see how that would be horrifying for a lot of people. They would rather see them looking I mean, it's just a personal thing, you know.
Sure.
Some people, well, and I mean, funerals are for the living, and you know, they are. They
It's
are.
true.
The dead person's dead. They don't care. So I mean, and so some of it is just a personal choice. I mean, I know a lot of people who their loved one died and they never wanted to see that body, and they got cremated, and they are that much happier for it. And then I know people who would have been devastated if they hadn't had an open casket funeral for their loved one.
Sure.
You know, so it's just a personal choice. I mean, I try not to get down on what people choose for their relatives, because I think that a lot of the time there's no bad choice. I mean, this person has died.
I don't think there's
And
there's a bad choice. I just think that, like, people are doing the things they're doing because of a problem in the culture. They're not doing the things they're doing because they're what they really want. They're doing it because the culture says this is what you should want. Like, think about 100 years ago. Everyone had their funeral in their own home, and people dressed the bodies, washed the bodies. Like, you would have to do that no matter what. You wouldn't even know you had the option to have someone take your loved one away. You know, it just wasn't done. Like, so I think that the extra trauma, I think we're putting extra trauma on ourselves with the fact that it's a norm to have that happen. Not that it's like people don't even know it's a choice not to have that happen.
Yeah, see, and I guess I don't agree, because so like my dad, for example, has one of his cousins died when she was very young. She was like 19 or 20, and he was maybe like 6 or 7, and his father's family is from like backwoods Tennessee, make their own moonshine type people. And I'm serious, they do make their own moonshine, that's true. But they had the funeral in the home. And my dad is so traumatized by seeing his cousin's dead body, wearing her normal clothes, laying out on the couch, like she would have when she were alive, only now she wasn't, that it just like traumatized him from funerals for life.
So would he have been traumatized either way?
I don't know. Because I think some of it was like she's at home and she's wearing her normal clothes like she's alive, but she's not alive. And she's not at home. Not really.
No.
You know? Like, not consciously. She's not here anymore. And it was just like this weird thing of like, but I saw her laying on this couch when she was alive, and now she's laying here and she's dead. You know? Yeah. So I don't know. I think that, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like those funerals that I went to for my family just felt... Both times I just felt like the funeral and all of the services were just an offense to them as people. Like, one of the things that pissed us off about my grandpa's funeral is that he was very non-religious. Like, strictly no religion. He didn't talk to one of his sons, which is his favorite kid, to be honest, because he kept trying to get him to read the Bible. Like, he very non-religious. And they told the people at the funeral home no religion involved, and they still came in and they made it a very religious ceremony, and it pissed everybody off. So even like just that, like,
that's a complicated thing, because was he able to choose before he died what he wanted, get it in writing and everything? Because sometimes that's the problem, is that people are not able
and
to
you don't
specify what they want officially, so then they don't get what they want, and it's awful.
So then a family member takes over, because a funeral home will not they don't give a shit if you want a religious ceremony or not. They're getting paid.
Yep.
And so they will not ship in their own pastor to do a religious ceremony. Someone had to call that pastor to come in.
Oh yeah. No, the funeral home was told non-religious. And the pastor that was contacted was told, don't make this religious. And they still did.
Well, then that's on the pastor.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, in general, like, that's just an example of, like, the funerals I've been to have just felt like a disservice to my family members. I don't feel like I would be bothered if I were just, like, if I went to my grandpa's funeral and it was just, like, his dead body. I was there when he died. So I guess for me personally, it wouldn't bother me. I just feel very upset by the funerals that my family has had because it doesn't feel respectful the way that it's been done.
Or what they would have wanted.
Yeah.
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 I don't like how our system works.
But that's not always the system. I mean, because I've been to a funeral where, I mean, it was clear that the person giving the sermon or eulogy or whatever you want to call it, like, barely knew the lady who died. And, like, we honestly were, like, trying to not laugh throughout the whole thing. Our whole row was, like, I always laugh at funerals. So my whole row was, like, trying not to laugh. Because it was just, like, so horrifying. It was basically about how, like, we all have to go and be saved. And, like, again, she was barely religious.
And that was not her thing.
But I have also been to funerals where it was absolutely a reflection of the person who died. And it was a more traditional funeral, open casket, body was embalmed and everything. So it just depends on the level of control that the family, or the level of involvement that the family wants to have. And a lot of the time, it's how much you spent with your loved one before they died talking about what kind of funeral they would like to have.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will lay it out. This is what I want. You know, I want to be cremated and I don't want a visitation. And that's all. That's it. I just want you to pick up my ashes. My mom wants to be buried next to a tree in a biodegradable urn. So I already know it's what she wants. Yeah. So I already know it's what she wants.
Yeah.
So, again, it just depends. It's just a very specific thing because I've been to a lot of funerals that really reflected who the person was in good ways and in bad ways. When my mom's dad died, we called it the plunking because there was no visitation. We went to the graveyard and they just we just all stood around. There was no priest or pastor, anything. No one gave a eulogy. And his wife, his second wife, she was up there sobbing and putting her hands on the coffin, and we're just standing there fucking freezing cold.
Oh my god.
And then he got lowered into the ground and we all just stood there, and my mom was standing next to the undertaker who was telling her about the irrigation system underground.
Oh my god.
He had probably never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
What else was he going to talk about?
Yeah.
It was the most bizarre thing I have ever been to, but he was a huge fucking douchebag. And so you know what? That's the kind of funeral he deserved.
Yeah.
That is the kind of funeral that he deserved. Was a funeral where no one had anything nice to say about him, and he got dropped into the ground and forgotten about. You know?
Yeah, that's fair.
So sometimes it's a funeral they deserve in a bad way, but sometimes it's a funeral they deserve in a good way.
Yeah.
You know, where people get up and give eulogies and people are laughing and crying and, you know, they're playing music that they loved, and, you know, it's really just more like a celebration, I guess.
Yeah.
I still think it's it's just, the problem is systemic. The reason people get bad funerals, it's systemic. It's because no one wants to deal with death. So we let a
that is
corporation
true. I
deal
agree with
it.
that.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that, is that people need to have and I understand, you know, people die unexpectedly and there's nothing you can do when that happens, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course.
If someone gets, but for people who are ill or people who are getting older, they need to have that end of life planning. I mean, look at in England when so the Queen Mother, when she was getting up there in age, they were rehearsing her funeral.
Because she wanted to go out in style, man.
Oh, they all do. And she was really pissed off because Princess Diana died unexpectedly, and they had to use her funeral route. And she was so mad because she hated her.
Yeah.
She hated Princess Diana. And she was like, that's my funeral plan.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because they had to use her funeral plan for Princess Diana because, again, she was someone who died very young in a very unexpected way, and they were not ready.
Jeez.
You know, I mean, she was in her 40s.
Oh no.
So, yeah. So, but I do agree with you that people who are older or people who have a terminal illness, they should really like sit down, and even if they can't talk to their family about it, put it in writing.
I mean, even young people who are able to do it, because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, not to be morbid, but like it would be nice to have something in place, an advance directive, and
I have had that conversation with my parents already.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No, I don't know. I feel like my thing is like my family is so trapped in tradition, and we're like a super no bullshit kind of family. And so the fact that we even did these kind of funerals is kind of weird. So I feel like my family's just trapped in this, like, this is what we're supposed to do, even though it doesn't make any sense for our family to be doing this right now, sort of a thing.
Oh, yeah,
So,
because it's like, oh, we never, like, really were gonna do this, so we're just gonna go along with the whole bizarre thing and just, like, let it do what it do.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just want to be cremated and just be gone with me. I don't know. I don't want all the frills.
Have you guys ever watched 6 Feet Under?
No.
Nikki especially, but both of you would love this show. It's about a family who runs a funeral home, and in every episode you see someone die at the beginning, and then it's not only the family's personal drama, but then the funeral that they are planning for this person. And it's all different kinds of funerals. It's people who want to be cremated. It's people whose families want nothing to do with it. They're like, you know what, just cremate them, and we don't even want to pick up the ashes. And then there's one episode where this man dies, and he was like a famous, I don't know if he was an opera director or a set designer for an opera, and his partner stages an opera at his funeral.
Oh my god.
Yes. But again, that is a funeral that would have reflected that person, right?
I mean, yeah. Whatever he wants. Whatever they wanted.
You guys should absolutely watch. And then the main character of the show is the oldest son, Nate. And he has an aneurysm in his brain that can go off at any time. And they can't get it out surgically. And which happens, and so he is kind of forced to come back and help run this funeral home, and he is terrified of death because he feels like he lives with it at every second. He could die at any minute. And so a lot of the series is him accepting that death is, like you said, death is part of life. Right? It gets everybody in the end. And so it's such a good show.
I mean, I've heard of it.
It's such a good show. And the finale is like the greatest TV finale of all time.
Is it on Netflix?
And it will make you it's HBO.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And it will make you sob. The finale will make you sob hysterically. Like, it's so beautiful and well done, and oh my god. You just gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. It's one of the greatest shows of all time.
Plan your funeral.
Yeah.
Do what you want. If it's embalming, that's fine. If it's not embalming, that's fine. Just know that you can choose.
Yep.
And that, I don't know, somewhere in Italy, there's a corpse that probably opens its eyes every day.
God.
And then closes them.
You know what?
I'm gonna have dreams about that.
That was one of those cases where I'm sitting there thinking, you know what, Rachel, don't look at this picture. And what do? I pick up my phone and I'm like, guys, I'm gonna look. And then I regret it because now it's burned into my retina, even though I looked at it for half a second.
See, the picture itself isn't bad. It's like, it's something under the picture that's bad. I don't know what. I don't know what, though.
Yeah.
Every time on this podcast, you guys are like, there are pictures on the internet. Don't look at the pictures. Don't do it. You'll regret it.
And you're like, 2
seconds later, I am like, while you guys are talking, I guarantee I am looking at the pictures. Like, there's no way I can't.
I do the same thing.
Oh, God.
I do the same thing. Someone's telling me, don't look, it's nasty. I'm like, yep. As I'm Googling Rosalia in Italy, I'm like...
Yeah, no, that one's creepy, though. Like, I don't...
That was terrifying looking. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because it's a little kid.
I don't know.
And something about that is just... I mean, because something about kids dying, I feel like to almost everybody is just more tragic.
Yeah. I don't like my reaction when I saw the picture was like, that is a dead body. 100% that is a dead body. And I don't think I've ever been more startled. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. It was a different feeling seeing this dead body than seeing other dead bodies. I don't know why, but my reaction was that is a dead body.
Oh yeah, she looks like a dead body. Yeah. She does not look like a doll.
But she does not look like a wax dummy. Doesn't look like 100-year-old dead body.
No, but she looks like a dead body.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she looks less like a dead body than the guy in the sailor suit.
I think that's why it's so startling, is like...
I didn't look at the guy in the sailor suit. I'm going to pass.
He's kind of funny.
I'm not. Miranda, don't do it.
Wait,
it's really not bad. Just look up the Capuchin catacombs and you can see some of the monks and stuff. It's really not.
I don't want to see her again.
It's a bunch of... You'll see her again. She's the most famous resident. I still think she looks less like a dead body than other preserved dead bodies I've seen.
That's so weird.
Images.
Oh, I don't like it.
Oh my god, they're just like hanging out.
I don't like it. Oh my god.
I feel like it's a still from a Tim Burton movie, and then like when you go away, they all come alive and start chatting, and they all have very strange personalities, and they make bone jokes.
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
This is horrifying.
Really? Guys, it's not that bad.
It's bad.
I don't know what's so startling about it. It's like...
Are you talking specifically about the one I was talking about, or are you talking about the other bodies?
Just like the pictures in general are so startling. I don't know why. But they make me incredibly uncomfortable.
Well, I guess I'm desensitized now. I think it's really fascinating, and I would love to go.
I usually, like, whenever I look up the pictures, I'm like, oh, that's horrible, but I'm not, like, this put off by it. I don't know what it is.
I'm reading about how they kept her body so intact. It was a procedure that was lost for decades, but was recently rediscovered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, didn't you talk about it, Nikki? It was, like, alcohol and salicylic acid and... glycerin.
Yeah. I guess I missed the part where it said that it was lost for decades.
Oh, yeah. So what do they, like, inject it like they do embalming fluid, or do they just, like... Because I don't know... Okay, they inject it.
Yeah, I think it was injected.
Okay. I don't know anything about, like, preparing dead bodies, so...
You should watch 6 Feet Under, because they get really into detail about that.
Do they?
I'm down with that.
See, it's weird because I love to research this stuff, but I'm still very squeamish. And I'm surprised that you guys are upset by it, because I usually am like, ew, gross, what? I think a lot of these just look like macabre art. They look like... There's this one picture that is just a bunch of the bodies lined up. Yeah, I've seen that one.
Is that the sailor?
I can't
tell from...
I can't see your screen, Rachel. You've been frozen.
He has a mustache.
He has a mustache. See, but that's what he wanted, guys.
I mean, like, cool, but also, no thanks.
Yeah. And he wanted, apparently, people to be able to come in and see his body, too. Like, I don't know, like, when they started letting the public in, or what. Oh, I see the mustache one. No, that's not the sailor. That doesn't even look real.
Today they provide a somewhat macabre tourist attraction. That's like an understatement.
This is a tourist attraction?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, they're closed, but they open at 9 a.m. on Thursday.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you said that. I'm sorry. Oh, my God.
No, like, Rachel, haven't you been to the catacombs? Like, the Paris catacombs?
Yeah, but that's just skeletons. They're not dressed in clothes.
I was gonna say, I really want to go to the Paris catacombs, but that's totally different.
It's totally different. They're not dressed in clothes and posed like they were real. There's no, like, creepy mummy that looks like she died yesterday when really she died, like, 100 years ago. No thanks.
Yeah, I guess.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
For me, because like I said, okay, I'm trying to switch to English, and their website will not switch to English. Aha! I was trying to see, like...
God, what's this other kid?
That one is in not so great shape.
No, it's not. Looked. What, like, do you know anything about this one?
I don't, actually. Okay. I saw the kids.
They're open 365 days a year, including holidays.
Well, it's under a church.
You can go there on Christmas.
Isn't it? I think it was under the monastery, but I don't know if it's like a church or something now. And usually those old churches are open every day.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that the tourist attraction below it is open every day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, all the
like can you imagine like going to the midnight mass on Christmas Eve and then being like, well, I'm gonna go downstairs.
I mean, I could, but
I mean, I'm pretty sure this is an active church.
yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it is. This is an active church.
They're very, like, fashion statement-y. I don't know.
I can't
But,
imagine
like, in
being...
Italy, you can't walk into a church without seeing a dead body, without seeing some mummified saint, or...
Are you serious?
Or, like, some saint's finger. Yeah, it's true. You can't.
Oh, yeah, Catholics love that stuff.
Ah, that's not something I need in my life.
They love their relics.
Oh, they love it. They love it.
I just don't understand.
Oh, guys,
like, wanting
they
to...
have an Instagram.
Oh my god.
What? Yes. What?
Maybe, or like maybe this is just like a photographer's Instagram. Nope, they have an Instagram.
What's the handle?
Fuck.
Or the username?
Hang on, it's loading very slowly. Carlo, Carlo,
Okay.
Vannini.
Carlo Vanini?
Yeah.
Follow.
He's a photographer, but like all... Nikki, you already... Oh, did you just follow him?
I did just follow him.
It just popped up. Followed by
Oh
Macabre
my
Librarian.
God.
But like all of his pictures are...
There's an ectopic
Wow, there's-
pregnancy. What the...
There's some
No.
really weird stuff on his Instagram though, let me tell you.
Rachel
I
doesn't
think
wanna
weirder
see that.
than the pictures I found on Google.
Rachel does not want to see that. Thank you so much.
Oh my god.
Rachel's gonna look anyway though.
I surely just clicked on
She
it.
surely
didn't I?
just did. There's just like one picture of these 3 monks, but they're like they're skeletons, but they are in monks' robes and they're in front of this just like a beautiful wall made out of skulls. And
That's
they
the
look,
one that I'm looking at.
they just look so couture.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It is very like I could see if Alexander McQueen were still alive, him absolutely doing a collection based on this.
Oh my god.
This guy has a very interesting Instagram. I am gonna follow him.
I thought you said you didn't want to see it.
Oh.
Well, you know what? It's too late.
It is way too late for you.
But he's also photographs other places.
I
like,
guess.
he's got some
yeah, he
pictures
has some
of the catacombs.
weird shit in here. Well, welcome to Deathstagram, Rachel.
This is great. Oh my god, look at this monk in front of this wall of skulls.
I know, isn't it awesome? I just passed that, I think.
That is absolutely like a photo shoot for Vogue.
It is. I don't know where all these, like, weird conjoined twins and stuff are coming from, though, because I don't think those are in the catacombs.
No, not all of this stuff is from the catacombs.
See,
Like if you look, like he's got some pictures from the catacombs in Paris. Oh my god, that's beautiful, you guys.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at QOTD Podcast, on Facebook at facebook.com/QOTD Podcast, Tumblr at queensofthedamnpodcast.tumblr.com, and YouTube at Queens of the Damn Podcast.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, and TuneIn Radio. You can also follow us on our blog, queensofthedamnpodcast.wordpress.com, to find bonus content and extra information on our episodes.
if you would like to donate to our show, you can find us at patreon.com/QOTD podcast, where you can receive special perks as a listener for becoming a monthly patron. If you would like to make a one-time donation, you can send it to QOTDpodcast@gmail.com on PayPal. We'll see you next week.